Hey, raindrops. Yeah. So tonight's episode was what? Good. So, of course, I need to talk to my friend, my homeboy, Love and Marriage Huntsville fan, y'all favorites, the Sky Squad and the
Hey.
raindrops. We all are family. Yes. Give it up for my boy, your boy, everyone's favorite, DJ Richie Sky.
What is happening? Thank you for having me back. You know, I love to talk a little, smack with
Ah!
you.
And I love to give it what back with you,
Okay.
baby. So no, this is going to be good because this is let me what let me let me
10.
when I say to you, I have seen up until I've seen up until episode 15. And yes, honey. I'm always confused about what episode we're on. But you're right. This is episode 10 that we're talking about tonight. And
Okay.
we need to just dive right into it because you don't know this, Richie, or maybe you do.
Uh-oh.
Do you know I watch your recaps of my shows sometimes?
You know what's funny? I do my recaps as if no one is watching.
Yes.
I do it. I sit down and I just say, you know what? I start off saying I'm gonna be real serious, and I'm just gonna talk to the folks. And somewhere around the 3 minute mark, I notice it happens in every video. I feel like I get to preaching a sermon, like because they do something that just gets to me. So also, if I have to say something about like how the episode was like laid out, I gotta pretend like you ain't watching because
I know.
I gotta talk about it.
I know. So what you don't know is this past weekend, okay, I was watching your recap of last week's episode, 11 Marriage Huntsville, because I watch your stuff, and I picked up my phone. This is an exclusive for you and the raindrops and the Sky Squad. I picked up my phone to text you, and then I stopped and said, number one, I'm gonna see him tonight. But I also said I never want to remind him that I'm watching because I don't ever want him to feel like, oh, Carla's watching, maybe because I like you when you're honest. So one thing I love about you, you were like last week's episode, I felt triggered. I'm gonna give it a 9.9. And I was like, not a 9.9. And then you did what on Bill Collective. You said this feels disjointed. Uh, they're doing what they do on Love and Marriage Huntsville, where everyone got their own individual storylines. But I want to see a brunch. I
I
want to see.
do.
I know. So I'm saying this to you. I wanted to.
Give me a brunch, man. Give me a brunch. Where we at? Come on now, you Carlos. You know we looking forward to a brunch.
See,
That's why we
this
here.
is okay. I'm sorry, Huntsville Hotties. That's their new names. So the Huntsville Hotties, we're gonna get into tonight's episode, but let me answer Richie's question first. Okay, so next week's Bell Collective, the girls are together at a party that goes left. You saw the previews. There's a lot of stuff are being thrown. That's all I'll say, right? Now,
Okay.
up until this point, the reason why you haven't seen a brunch, and I'm being very honest, I don't like to do what's expected. And I felt like the first two seasons, you got a brunch in the first two episodes. So I don't want to start off with the brunch on Bell Collective. I wanted y'all to truly be invested in what these bells were going through personally first, so that you understood that they have a lot of situationships with a men. Hey, Zaddy and Latrice. Hey, Glenn. Look, Glenn, Marie, and Letitia.
Don't get me started.
I know. We'll do a recap another time.
Ooh.
So that's the only reason why y'all did not get all the girls together in one room, because I wanted to wait until we got those things first. Because I don't want to do what's expected, Richie. So that's why.
And I knew that.
Look, it ain't disjointed. It's reappointed. Yeah.
Come on, reappointed.
Okay.
Well,
So look, I can get red and take it, and that's why I'm like, I love him. We're gonna have a good kiki. See, this is what happens, y'all. We can have a conversation about a show, share our honest opinions, and not make it personal. So stop tagging these reality stars. Me, Richie, Carlos said this about you. He said this about you, Carlos. No, this man is allowed to have his opinion, and I cannot wait until I hear his opinion about tonight's episode of Huntsville.
Well, I can definitely tell you it didn't feel disjointed.
Hey! So you talked about last week this Tiffany, Martel trifecta. That is the talk of the show this season. You saw the continuation at the top of this episode with Tiffany having a scare during the baby shower. But let's do a little recap of this whole trifecta for the audience. Are you feeling Tiffany this season in terms of what she's bringing to the show?
Yes.
Me too.
You know why? And I say that especially in light of this episode, because I think that Tiffany is an example of someone who I like to see on reality TV who gets in their own way, right? And for whatever reason, whatever her reasons are, like, girl, like, it's none of your business, really. But she just has this burning desire, fight for families. And, it's just like, girl, like, and the reason I know I feel like it's real is because it's the same with her and her work. She can't slow down. It don't matter. Girl, you was just in the hospital. You trying to plan a trip to DC? Sit down somewhere. She is determined to be in these streets. And I like it.
I do, because I do too. No, go ahead.
It feels like she's on a mission. And I don't quite know what it is, but she's on it. So I'm riding the train with her. I like it.
Mission Impossible. Come on, Tiffany Cruz. Not Tom Cruise, bitch. We're calling you Tiffany Cruz, the star of Mission Impossible Part 5. She is on a mission to get the tea. So I said this on my recap last week, Richie, that when I first saw Tiffany casting tape, she was saying some crazy things just about her opinions of the cast, in which she knew some of them, some she didn't. And I was like, she is the person needed for this show because, and you've been a day one watcher, the core six have known each other for many, 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 many years. And to this day, yes, they throw shade, throw shots, whatever. But there's a certain level of respect to where they don't go there when it comes to going too dark in terms of what they know about each other. And again, I've said this before and I'll say it again. I respect it. I really do. I like that Tiffany, though, has no allegiance or alliance to nobody.
Anyone.
So she's going to say how she feels. And what's so interesting about the audience is she's asking the questions y'all would want me to ask at a reunion. So why are y'all okay with me being nosy? But y'all have a problem with Tiffany doing not the Lord's work, but doing the work of the king, honey. No shade.
But listen to this. I think it's familiarity, right? And you said it yourself. With Huntsville, it's a very difficult thing for the audience to accept somebody new. So for you to ask the questions, just like we know, like this is your cast, you know them, right? So like if you ask a question to Mel or Martel, it's gonna be like, okay, he knows, he was there, so they gotta really tell him the truth. There's familiarity there. So with her, I feel like we still kind of getting to know her, and I feel like this season she's allowed us in a lot more.
Oh, 1,000%. And even not skimming through the other scenes, but you even saw tonight, like after, and thank God that she was okay, because the woman is not. This is the funny. At the time, the woman was 9 months pregnant. So it was like Tiffany, real talk, when the producers told me Tiffany was crying and the ambulance came, I said, I hope Tiffany nosiness did not induce her labor. Like, girl, is your child ace in your stomach saying, bitch, you are too nosy and get me out of this environment? I want to go, like, I don't want to be in your belly while you being nosy.
Because, Tiffany remind me of Jessica Fletcher. I ain't
Who's
never seen
that?
so. J.B. Fletcher, Murder, She Wrote. Carlos.
Angela Lansbury?
Angela Lansbury.
Well,
I ain't never seen somebody in somebody else's business. Like, she is in everybody's business. If you think about it, Murder, She Wrote was 12 seasons. That's 12 seasons of murder, girl. Like, you was in it. I feel like that was Tiffany. So when you said she might have induced her label by being so nosy, I feel like all that activity might have got her caught up with her. Okay. And to be honest with you, I'm gonna tell you the truth. Now, I got it, and I'm at the risk of sounding insensitive. I know I'm not the only person that thought this. I thought initially that she had a crying spell because she felt guilty because a man was outside getting run over by Martell, Marceau, and Maurice. And she knew it was going down. And she felt bad. And so she worked herself up into a tizzy. That's what I thought last week. I did.
You thought Tiffany said my man Lewis is getting steamrolled by Martell and Marceau, and that Big Lou was about to lose this big battle. And in order for her to save Big Lou's life, honey, she had to pretend that she was in pain so that everybody can feel sorry for her. And Big Lou, instead of getting big knocked down, is able to go in the house, honey. That's what you thought? Okay.
And save his wife.
Or his life.
Okay. Both. All right. Because it was the three of them out there. I said, first of all, Maurice, why are you going out there? You going out there to back up your brother?
Yes, absolutely. Now listen, we don't condone violence. Although when you watch the show, you be like, anyways, okay. Now look, hypothetically,
okay,
who would you put money on between Maurice, Martell, Marceau, and Big Lou if there was ever a situation to where it got a little heated?
Well, I think that the three of them would have took him, okay, that day.
So the three M's would have took Big Lou.
But I felt like if Maurice hadn't stepped outside, now I felt like Big Lou could have dragged the two of them down the driveway.
Yes. My money's on Big Lou.
I'm just saying, because he had every right to be upset, in my opinion.
Yes. Okay, so Big Lou, we think you are a winner, chicken dinner, honey. You get the trophy child and the belt. Okay. Mm-hmm. So Big Lou told Tiffany tonight that pretty much you're nosy and you're in everybody's business, and that is affecting these situations we're in. How did you feel about that conversation tonight between Tiffany and Lewis in the room?
I think this season I've grown to, I felt like we hadn't seen Lewis as much. So the scenes that I feel like he's been in have been impactful, at least in this past episode, because we've seen emotion from him in this episode with like, yo, like, I need you to slow down. You mean this much to me, but you got to stay out of people's business because you putting me in bad situations where I'm about to be tore up outside. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I felt like this is what I want to see.
And the thing about Lou is he knows his wife.
Yeah.
And he knows how far she can go. And the thing with Tiffany is, look, I don't think Tiffany's going to change. I think that's who Tiffany is.
I hope she does not.
You said you hope she doesn't?
I hope she does not. But can I ask you this?
Of course.
Before you go where you was going. Now, I hope she don't change back to the Tiffany that we knew before pregnancy. Because that Tiffany, she won't really stand 10 toes down in the things that she said. Now, the pregnant Tiffany is a different Tiffany. And I like pregnant Tiffany. So if we need her to get pregnant again, Lewis, you know what to do.
Not shoot him up in the club, honey.
You want her to stay home?
I got on my reading glasses because you're low key reading, and I'm here for it. I miss this Tiffany.
Yeah.
I listen when Tiffany first got on the show. I once again knew who I cast. She came in and said, "Destiny, I think I met you when your husband was with another girl. Was it you?" That's who she is. She wasn't produced to say that. That's who she is. Tiffany says the most outlandish things that you may be thinking, but she has the guts to actually say it. And I love that about her. When she told Destiny, I don't care you from Detroit, Houston, Atlanta. Yo,
I love it.
I stand for it. Now, she got red for filth by the Huntsville Hotties, and then she became a recluse the season after that. And she and I talked about that, Richie, on the podcast. She received death threats and a lot of crazy emails.
Wait, are you serious?
Oh, honey. Some of these, listen, not all, some of these fans are special. They do the most. And that's when I understood her and I said, look, that to me is the most insane thing, that you would take it so personally to do something to where you're sending death threats to people. No, they told her, like, jump off the bridge. Like, it was people, not again, I want to make it very clear, this isn't everybody. Some people, though, are a little bit cuckoo. And to say that is sad. It really is. It's horrible. If the person who's filming with them don't feel that way and they can be okay with it and move on from it, everyone should as well. But I'm happy that she got past that because it was tough for her. But I love this new Tiffany. Well, it's the same Tiffany, but I love that she's back. Yeah. Now she's had the baby. You get to see more of her after she has a baby. But I'm happy to report, Richie, that, dare I say, she's worse.
Oh, well, this is a delightful piece of news to brighten my day. Okay.
Not the day, Lord. Okay.
This is no, I'm saying because, you know, we see it happen all the time with reality TV stars, and, you know, something like that can happen. I mean, I didn't know it was that bad, but they get backlash, and then, you know, they come back and then they have an altered personality, you know, the next season. And it does no justice for the show as a viewer, because I feel like, where's the person we fell in love with? I mean, we might not have liked you in the beginning. Okay, you knew. We ought to warm up to you. But you brought something. And she does it very poised. Like,
yes. She's not loud.
No.
She's not like this. No.
It's almost, dare I say it, almost... She's lacking the comedy of a Phaedra, but it gives me that, it rolls off her tongue in the same way. And when she's engaging with someone, she engages in a similar way that Phaedra does.
You better. Yes. Listen, as somebody who's worked with Phaedra, I never, put two and two together. The only thing she's lacking, the thing that Phaedra had going for herself, Phaedra was in on the joke. Yeah. Phaedra said, I'm going to play up the Southern Belle and be a little bit scantily clad. I'm going to wear a fishnet bathing suit to where you can see my booty, right? Like, let's call it out, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm also going to wear a church hat with the veil coming down. Absolutely. And I'm going to pray our way out of situations. But I'm also going to do this behind the scenes, allegedly. So what's crazy is Tiffany is like Phaedra, the sense of she's very direct. And the reason, because people are like, why haven't anybody like tried to like step to Tiffany? And I never understood the reason till now. It's because she's not in your face, meaning like she's not good with it. She ain't. Nope. She's very classy, poised. And that's why Tisha said last week, she believes it's the pretty girl syndrome, that because Tiffany's pretty, she feels like I can say what I want to say and y'all ain't gonna do nothing about it.
That threw me off right there.
It did?
That pretty comment threw me off, because I'm like, I mean, I feel like you're working with a cast of attractive people.
Oh yeah,
So,
the
so
cast is bad. Absolutely.
to me, I feel like maybe that has to be a Tisha thing that didn't register with me because I kind of feel like all y'all say stuff that's kind of crazy. I think that the reason, I mean, they do. I think the reason people not really going at her is because she's expecting in this moment. So I feel like everybody's treading lightly with her,
Except
except for Marceau.
no, except Kiki.
Oh, and Kiki.
The
Okay.
Kiki, what did Kiki say? She gonna be pregnant forever.
But that's the thing though. That's also why
Yes,
I like Kiki because she's the opposite. Kiki to me is unhinged. Okay. And she's like a Tasmanian devil. Like once she gets wound up, it's like no stopping. I say it all the time. She overshoots every single time. She like one of those types of people. Like you could be like, oh yeah, get it. Like I was like, yeah, she reading Tiffany. Did you just say you know your daddy? Girl.
she gonna
See,
backpedal. I didn't. I didn't mean it that way. Kiki, I love you.
how did
What
you mean
other way
it?
is it to me, sis? At least I knew who my. Oh, by the way, I knew my daddy. In order for you to say I know my daddy, the intention behind it is you don't know yours. It's sort of
Exactly.
like, yo, Richie, I'm married and I'm happily married. You'll say, well, bitch, are you saying I'm not happily married either? Why are you telling me? Oh, and by the way, I'm happily married, bitch. I am too. What's I caught that shade, and that's like Kimmy said, Kiki. No, Kiki is definitely somebody who you're gonna see the rest of the season. I think not to give anything away, I think unhinged is the word.
Ooh. Question before we go on. Okay. Since there was a little bit of tea poured, let me see if I can get a little more. How many episodes are we gonna get for this?
Well, the way they do Huntsville, they split them in half, right? And by the way, I know y'all are waiting for DC to come back. I am too. I can't wait for y'all to see the next episodes of DC. Once I get confirmation of an air date, I'll let y'all know. Okay. So I think we have like 5 more episodes to go for this
Okay.
round, if you will.
Okay. I was thinking that, but I wanted to hear from you.
Yeah. And wait till you see next week's episode with Stormi and her mom and her auntie and Junior. It gives you Candy, Mama Joyce, and the OLOG gang tease.
Ooh. Now that I'm intrigued by. You know, I love a good old nasty family dynamic.
Oh, you wait and see. Just wait. It's this was me the entire time.
Ooh.
I watched it 5 times.
Are you see? You did a good job with the casting.
Thank
You did a good job with this season. This season, you did a good job with the casting.
Look, is that shade? You said this season.
No, I was gonna reach back for a Phaedra quote and say, "Now this you're on point with."
Right.
But I was like, no. There's a magic to this season. I feel like especially as we kind of go along with the episodes and we see so many different interactions that kind of unexpected. And we get this, y'all found a really good way to get back to the not comeback group.
Right.
That I feel like is compelling as well because the people that agree with each other ain't necessarily the people I thought would agree with each other.
Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy. Listen, it goes to show you because I do my recaps on other shows and those fans love to read me. Where about you? The one thing that I took inventory on is before we started the season, everyone knows this. I had a meeting with the cast because I saw a direction that I didn't like that we were going down, and I needed to remind people of the importance of this show. And at the end of the day, you can have tons of meetings with cast. It doesn't mean they're going to listen to you, right? And if that's the case, you'll get a pink slip. No, I'm teasing. But I appreciate the fact that they listened and agreed and said, let's get back to the business and the basics and the fundamentals of this show. And all of what you're seeing is really real. Like the Black Expo was something Tisha Marceau were doing. It was a great way for us to introduce the not so comeback group. But in addition to inserting people who are really in their lives, Kiki is Tisha's first cousin.
Yeah.
And I said this to you last year. I said, Richie, they're gonna give you Melissa and Teresa teas like on Jersey. And you said, oh my God. And you're seeing that. And you're gonna see more of that from those two. Stormi is an excellent addition. Once you see her and the family dynamics is very Love and Marriage franchise tease. And on top of that, you're going, like you said, Tiffany's back in. But I thank you for that, because I feel like, listen, and there's more work that needs to be done. You know, I'm never going to rest on my laurels like, okay, well, no. I'm already thinking about next season and what needs to happen.
What needs to happen? Tell it what needs to happen. I mean, because you know what? That's unfair a little bit, because you are 5 episodes ahead. But
every season has to feel different, I think.
I agree.
That's why when you were reading me about Bell Collective being disjointed because no brunch, honey, I just I'm gonna teach you. I want every season to feel different. So no, I want next season to feel. I'll just say this: I'm a little cuckoo myself. I already know how I want next season to be in my mind, and that always I'm already 10 steps ahead, and we're still filming the rest of this season, but I know what I envision next season to look like. Now,
and that's based on where you are currently with what you've seen.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I'm the big picture guy.
Yeah.
I look at the big picture. That's why when you think about this season, like you said, you're like, oh, this comeback group. I knew that last year. I was like, okay, we got to do something. I already knew. That's why I told the cast before the reunion. I said, I'm coming down to Huntsville. They said, okay. And this is before the reunion. I said, I'm coming to Huntsville. Okay. Yeah. And when I came there, they said, okay. And then when I left, a couple of people called me. Did you say X, Y, and Z? Well, so-and-so ain't doing it. I was like, oh God, they were telling on each other. But I love it. They're literally my children. I love the kids. Okay. Speaking of kids, let's talk about Melody. Okay. So you saw tonight, Melody, she wants Holt gone. She wants to bolt Holt. Period, point, and the blank. And was a little bit annoyed with the fact that because she's currently going through court proceedings with Martell, it may not happen as soon as she thought. Now, Melody is unable to change her social media name to Melody Cherie because she's verified. And once you're verified, you can't alter the name of your account. So when it comes to how she is announced publicly, whether it's the show, through me, when I'm hosting stuff, she's known as Melody Cherie. Now, how do you feel about this whole name change situation?
Well, I got to tell you from the perspective that I come from. So I am, providing commentary on these shows, right? So for me, I do want to respect her name change to Melody Cherie or Melody Rogers, whatever she want to change it to. But in terms of how I refer to her on my channel, it's got to stay Melody Holt, because that's what the search engine recognizes the most. Okay. So I do apologize, because y'all know I love me some Melody, but at the end of the day, Melody Holt is what I have to use when I do my titles and my metadata. So I want
For
you,
business,
Melody.
for business purposes, speak on
Yeah,
it.
I'm being real. Like that's really how, I mean, even as I was watching the scene, that's what I was thinking. I was like, yeah, I mean, girl, I hope you're able to do it, but I'm gonna still have to use Hope for a while. And I know it's gonna be the same way for a lot of other people as well who do what we do. So for me, I just looked at it from that perspective, and I couldn't help but look at it from that perspective. I hope she's able to change her name, you know, but it's unfortunate, because then there's the custody situation.
Yeah.
And it don't sound like I ain't never been through a custody thing or nothing like that, but this seemed real invasive.
Oh, it's super invasive, and it's a lot. It's a lot. Like
Yeah.
you said, obviously, you and I don't know what that feels like,
No.
but we also know people in our lives, and just seeing people in the public eye, they talk about how some divorces take years, right? But they are legally divorced, which is good because that's what they wanted, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Now with the custody thing, it is going much longer than I think we all anticipated. She does have young children who are still in school. What I've learned through reality TV and just other celebrities is a lot of the women keep their married last name when they were married because they have kids.
Yeah.
So, for example, Tamika Raymond, she now goes by Foster. Now she does. But Tamika Raymond argument was, I'm keeping Raymond because I have young children whose last name is Raymond. And when Tamika comes to pick up the kids, I don't want this weird thing where it's like, but it's, and I always understood it that way. But it goes to show you that Mel means business. She does not want to have any association with Martell, whether that's by name or by proxy. She just doesn't want, she wants nothing to do with him. That's what we saw tonight, even at the comeback group. She gave a very much, she didn't even do a Nene. You know how Nene would give you a hello cost me nothing? Because when Nene walks in, when I used to film Housewives and Nene hated all the girls at the time, she would do this. Hello! Hello! Like, why do you do that? And she said, because I don't want to say hello to individuals. When I do hello, she said, bitch, I say hello to everybody. To the cast, the camera people, the roaches. I'm saying hello to everybody. Don't ever say I didn't speak to you. But Mel and Martell, Mel would act like this. Because Melody, she would eat her food, baby, and act like she didn't see you, child. So that's what's going on.
She gave a dry high.
What was it, Richie?
A dry high. What's up? What's up?
Let's get into that though. So I want to ask you this. A lot of the fans have commented on Melody not talking a lot about this relationship, friend, boyfriend, suitor, this male companion that she has. And what we've seen so far is Kimmy really wants to know what's going on. Mm-hmm. We saw in the first episode, Kimmy's like, you had a birthday. What did you do? And Mel's like, yeah, so about your party. So what we doing? You want me to Party City? Got it. Top Golf? Okay. So tonight, once again, Kimmy's like, yeah, so I saw a picture. I saw a man's arm. I saw tattoos. Do you feel like Melody should be more open in addressing it? And as a fan of the show, because I want to talk to somebody who watched the show since day one. Does it make you upset, angry, sad, or no feeling when you see her not give a woman who she's known for 6-7 years any information?
Yes and no. The yes being, well, we saw an arm on social media, so you got to know people gonna ask. You know what I'm saying? You threw that arm on social media, so I mean, once you make it to social media, it's kind of a little bit ours now. Okay, it's our relationship
because we gonna talk about it, honey.
So because we gonna talk about it, right? In that sense, but and I do want to know, like, who is she dating because she's on the show. There's a part of me that also respects that. Okay, I don't know what stage it's in, right? And so I think that's a little bit difficult of a waters to navigate when you are first getting with somebody, because do you immediately bring this person to the show? Because guess what? Then that person is forever tied to you in some way, shape, or form. And that's for posterity, right? So years later, that person goes and does a crime, God forbid. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You're attached to that person because they were on the show with you and you didn't know them that well. So for that reason, I can sort of understand it, because I feel like when we in that dating phase with somebody, I'm not introducing you to my friends because I don't even want them to get used to you yet, because I don't know you. I don't know you yet, But the other perspective is this, and just to be real, a part of me kind of gives her a little bit more grace, because I feel like, no shade, I be feeling like Martell might put this man through all types of hell.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel. Like that would be a fear of mine if I was her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's interesting, and again, we'll dive more into this at the reunion. But one thing I will say is two things. One, when it comes to a woman on reality TV who is dating, if she's single, right? It's this weird situation because you don't want to date somebody who's too eager to be on camera with you, because you gotta figure out if their intention is for you or for the fame. And unfortunately, I've seen this firsthand. And no, Richie, I won't tell you who I'm talking about, but I'll tell you later. No, I'll tell you. No, I've seen personally firsthand how some men, you gotta watch out for these men, honey. Some of these men are city boys. Some of these men purposely date a reality star to get on TV. I've seen it. And the moment they're on it, they start to act like they're the star. I want to tell you something so badly, but I can't because I'm going to spoil it. Let's just say it's happening on one of my shows right now, allegedly. And allegedly, and we're talking about it. So, but anyways, long story short, I've seen it happen on my shows I created. I've seen it happen on shows I worked on. It's very hard, and that's the reason why I personally understand why Melody is choosing to figure this out, because you want to make sure the intention is pure. Mm-hmm. And I think on top of that, I don't know no show where you're bringing on your new man while your old man is still. That has to be hard. That has to be.
We about to see it on Married to Medicine.
Are we? I'll say that for later, honey. Yeah. Anywho, it's hard, and I get it.
That's I got a question though.
Go ahead.
Do you, as a producer, step in if you see that happening, or do you just have to let it play out?
Both. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Well, let's be very clear. I'm stepping in. If my name comes in, I'm being real. If my name comes up first in those credits, I'm gonna step into anything I want to
Okay.
because it's mine. I'm stepping in. What we doing? And that's the reason why I'm able to have the rapport I have with my cast. I'm always gonna step in when it's necessary. If I feel like something something's weird about this situation. What's really going on? Because I need to be able to explain it. And now that I got my podcast and I have to recap other shows, I already know they're gonna say, "Oh, really, bitch? You let so and so get away with this." So I know what time it is, baby. I know I get read for filth because they're gonna be like, "Oh, really, Carlos?" So, great question. I always step in because I need to know. And the other thing that I'm trying to teach reality producers, not the ones on my shows, I mean, when I talk about the shows and I know that future reality producers are listening, or even the ones who are currently working, you should never be so comfortable with the show to where you let your cast do what they want to do. And you're like, child, whatever. That that just won't ever happen to one of my shows. I have to, along with my team, of course, I have to make sure that we're telling a story that makes sense. Because one thing I'll tell my cast members is, if this confusing to me, then baby, it's gonna be more confusing to the audience. So it is difficult. And that's why I understand where Mel is coming from. And I also think too, and we'll talk about more at the reunion because I'm not giving away everything, darling. But one of the things I also understand is you got to give Melody props for stepping her toes back into being around the comeback group. Because no one would have ever saw that coming. So I think with her, it's baby steps, not just in terms of the comeback group initiative or the Black Expo in this case, but also in terms of, figuring out her relationships with people. What I want to hear your take on all of this, because what you said earlier makes a lot of sense. You saw a situation where, man, you saw people agree who normally would not agree on anything in this group setting. And I think that to me was the beauty of this comeback group meeting, or I'm sorry, Black Expo.
What a cue.
Exactly. Okay. So what are your thoughts on that?
Oh my God. It was nice to see Martell kind of stick up for Mel a little bit in that moment where he was like, people who have followings, they're bringing something to the table. So if they want to be paid, that's not a bad thing, right? So I understand that because I'm not gonna be shady right now, but I could. I want to be shady. I really want to be shady, but I'm not. I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna save it for you later. But when people want to be paid for something that they do, I feel like you cannot complain about them wanting to be paid for it. So like for me, if I ask somebody for an interview and they say, well, you know what, that's going to cost you X thousands amount of dollars, I can't be mad. Why? Because that's your thing. And if I want the interview, I'm going to have to pay the price. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
That is shade to a cast member. Okay. But if I feel like, I also understand them wanting to give back to the community, but I think the underlying issue that is escaping Marceau and Letitia is something that Kimmy is pointing out. They're still doing taxes on, I guess, the business filings for the comeback group. These were ideas that were shared way back in 2016. And they're kind of circling back to ideas that were previously had, but repackaging it as the Black Expo under the business name of Black. Is that the case? I mean, there's a lot of layers here that Kimmy is peeling back that I feel like if Kimmy was not there, we would not know these things. The viewer, we wouldn't get it. But Kimmy, the way she's laying it out, I'm like, oh, from a business perspective, it's a good thing she's here because the audience will have no idea, like, oh, wait, are y'all trying to get over on the group? Like, what is it? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is it really? So I think that seeing all of these things kind of come together, and to see like Tisha and Kimmy disagree on a business matter, that's different. We ain't seen that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I thought it was fascinating because, and you said this, Dustin said this, a lot of people say this. There's something about when those 6 people get together, magic happens. And they can't help themselves in terms of their honesty with each other about what's in front of their face. Especially if you think about Kimmy being related to Marceau and Tisha by proxy of her husband, but still calling out Marceau and Tisha like, y'all stole our idea, allegedly. You know, that's how she feels. And to see that, you know, just because you're related doesn't mean you can't disagree on something that relates to business. And that's why it was so fascinating to watch, because I love seeing them together. I really do. I really do. Obviously, it's weird for Mel and Martell because they're divorced.
Yeah.
And Mel will want to be someplace else besides
any place else.
Okay, besides Dance Sometimes Child. But I love it when they're together because you get some amazing material out of it. And that to me is the reason why the show was a success in the first place, because of the dynamic of those 6.
Also, it is authentic. You guys have found a way for them to naturally be together, not just like, and I hate to say this because I don't want to sound like I'm shading another show, but like, it doesn't feel like, okay, the end of the episode, we get a group scene with a bunch of people that may not normally, not even friends or associates. Like, they are naturally coming together to discuss something. Like, there's something to work towards, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that makes it gives the stories and the show like higher stakes. And so there's something to fight for. So I think that's what makes it compelling. They're not just getting together to have cocktails, right?
Right.
This is for a purpose. So everybody's coming into it, they arguing for a purpose.
Correct. Yes. No, I could not agree more. And more to come, because we ended on the cliffhanger. You'll see more next week. In addition to some Stormi stuff that I mentioned earlier. And it's fascinating to watch that. But before I let you go, we're 10 episodes in so far.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me about how you're feeling about the season.
Overall, I'm enjoying it. I feel like it's being peeled back like an onion. I feel like it's just like layers on top of layers on top of layers. And like the whole Stormi thing with her family, it's like we got a piece of what her mom is like, but now I feel like we're about to get an extended family scene. And so I feel like as long as y'all keep peeling back these layers of onions, I'm satisfied. As long as everybody is as invested in whatever mission they're on, Tiffany, stay on it. Okay. I'm invested, because, and even the little scenes, like between the quiet scenes between Tiffany and Stormi, and the way they be talking to each other, all like barely whispering, and I'd be like, what y'all saying? But it'd be so funny to me. It'd be so funny. So I just say, I mean, keep that going. Like it's TV gold right now to me.
Yes. No, I agree. I love this season because it feels different. It feels like a reset, and you're getting to know new people, but also different dynamics. And like I said, I really am appreciative of the cast meeting the standards of what the show is and making sure that they're also invested like we are. So I agree with you too, Richie. More to come. But I will invite you back. Yeah. Because we got to talk about Bill Collective.
Carlos, I'm still in a rage.
About what?
I'm mad at Cliff. Like, I am mad at Cliff. Cliff? Ooh! But I'm gonna save it.
Save it. We have a lot to unpack with Cliff, aka Zaddy, Latrice, Glenn Marie Letitia, as they call her. And baby, next week's episode of Bell Collective. Hold on to your bra, your wig, your baseball cap, your mustache, your beard oil, because it is going to take you on a turbulent ride. And I cannot wait for y'all to see it. Okay, that's enough teasing. Richie, tell the world where they can find you, follow you, and support you, my friend.
Well, y'all can come on over to at DJ Richie Sky on Instagram. I'm barely there, but I'm there. I'm there. And on YouTube, I'm always there. Come on over. Always a new video for you.
Please check out his YouTube if you haven't. He has a very special take on a lot of the hot topics, and he does it with comedy. He does it with good intentions. It's not like messy, mean. It's none of that. It's a joy to watch. And the good thing about his videos is they can range from 10 minutes to 30 to an hour, depending on the topic. So you get to get a quick little snack of a video or a full entree, but no matter what you're getting, it's satisfying. So I want the world to know that too. So make sure you go on his YouTube because it's one of my favorites. I'm a subscriber, and the Raindrops are too, because the Raindrops and the Sky Squad are friends. Although the Raindrops won, before I let you go, I did a poll of who's messier, the Raindrops or the Sky Squad. They said the Raindrops were. And I was like, y'all tried it. Child, I did a poll of who's messier, the Raindrops or the Millimeters. The Raindrops won. I'm like, no, I know this is rigged. So, Raindrops, and Richie, this is the best part. I said, I think this is rigged. Why did the Raindrops say, no shade, Carlos, we voted for ourselves. We are messier. I said, bitch. Goodbye. In both cases, they said, Carlos, it's us. I said, really? And then last story, my producers on my podcast, they called me and said, you do realize your Raindrops are messy. I was like, what? And they showed me like an example of like, child, the way they be trying to tell people, y'all better leave Carlos alone. He's a powerful. I'm like, never mind, child. But we're fun messy. We're not dark messy. So I want to make that very clear. It's all fun.
Fun shade.
Fun shade. Well, thank you, Richie, for another fun shade conversation. You'll be back to discuss a future episode of Bell Collective. But in the meantime, I'll look forward to your recaps.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. Bye.